Welcome, everyone, to our post-eclipse Bennington Select Board meeting. It's April 8th. I am Jeannie Jenkins. I'm the current chair of this board, and I will ask other board members to introduce themselves, starting with Nancy.
Well, I guess it was on. Nancy White.
Hi, I'm Tom Haley.
I'm Ed Woods.
Clark Adams.
Good evening, Jean Connor.
Thank you all. And also with us tonight is Stu Hurd, our town manager. Linda Bermudez, filling in for Nancy Lively, and she has taken minutes for us for many, many years, and so we're happy to see you back. And Josh Boucher from Cat TV, filming this as always, which we deeply appreciate. So we will start, as we always do, with the pledge. Nancy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Nancy. And Tom, would you read the vision statement?
I would. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So first up is reorganization. Welcome to our new members, Nancy.
Thank you.
And Clark. And so first up is to take nominations for vice chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I nominate.
I'm sorry.
It occurs to me that this is probably arguably one of our most important meetings of the year. So I was, in thinking about that, I was thinking that it is critically important that we have people in positions of leadership, not only on the board at all times, that have experience in that leadership. Next year's election, I think probably the worst kept secret in town is that Jean and Jeannie are not planning on running again. I am planning on running again, but I would be very vain of me to assume the will of the voters. So with keeping in mind that I think we need to make sure that we always have someone on the board that has experience with the additional responsibilities of the chair, that I'd like to nominate Ed Woods for vice chair.
Thank you. It's not required. Is there anyone who would like to second that nomination?
I would like to second that nomination.
Any other nominations?
I nominate Clark Adams.
All right. Would you like to say anything?
Clark has worked all over the world. He's been in healthcare for decades. He has served this country for decades. He has probably worked with more diverse populations than the rest of us put together. He has probably been in more situations than the rest of us have been. I think we would really be helping move this town in a new direction that many people want, having somebody like Clark as our vice chair.
Thank you. It's not required. Would anyone like to second that nomination? All right, so we'll take these in the order that they are done. So first of all, I will ask for a vote on Ed Woods as vice chair for this coming year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is that 4? Is that what I heard? Yeah, okay. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Okay, 1 nay. Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. All right, next we will do, just so we do this, we will vote on the nomination of Clark Adams for vice chair. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
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 Any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Did you get that, Linda? All right. So, congratulations, Ed.
Thank you.
You are now vice chair, and that means... All right. That means you get to take a small road trip.
Excuse us while we shuffle.
All right. And now, Ed, I'm going to turn it over to you for nominations for chair.
So as is in keeping, I am going to open the floor up for nominations to elect a chair for this board.
I'd
Do I
like to
hear-
nominate Jeannie Jenkins for chair.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second.
I would like to nominate Tom for chair.
I second.
I'm going to decline that nomination at this time, but I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, we have Jeannie on the floor nominated for chair. Can we take a vote on that, please? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Those are 2 opposed. Any abstentions? Nope. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Turn the
All
meeting
right.
back over.
So, okay, so then, thank you. We have a lot of work to do this year, and it sounds like some of that is in working on our board as well, and making sure that we are feeling like we are a board. So that will be one of the topics. Weirdly, next up is the consent agenda, right? Yep. So, for the purposes of discussion, could I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it. All right, moving right along. Next up, we have public comment, and we have several people on the agenda. First up is Kelly Carroll and Norm LeBlanc to talk about VFW Post 1332 K-9 Challenge.
Hi, Kelly Carroll, Norm LeBlanc, Joe Bizon, and Walt Carroll representing the VFW. So there is a K-9 challenge going on, and before I get into the events, I'm going to introduce Norm LeBlanc, who is the mayor of Henpeck Junction, and his name is Boo Boo Bonafat.
How you doing? Thanks for having us here. We just want to let you know that the VFW is committed to the town of Bennington. Our motto is "Together we are stronger," and we honestly believe that. We are doing a fundraiser to help our local community gain a new canine patrol dog. We think that it is a great asset to Bennington and the surrounding communities. And, you know, we just want to do what we can to have a little fun. You might see Boo Boo, maybe he's going to come see Stu tomorrow when he brings his daughter lunch. You know, but we, you know, we're having a little fun, showing our community, and but we're showing them we care as well. And we'd really like anybody that wants to stop down on Thursday or Friday to please stop down and see what we do. We are much, much more than just a bar in the center of town. Thank you.
So, thank you. My name is Annabelle Freebird, and for those of you that don't know me, I am the official host of Mullet Fest. And Mullet Fest is actually a 2-day event that's going to be held at the VFW. It's on Thursday, April 11th, and Friday, April 12th. And on those 2 days, we are going to have a basket raffle. And for those of you that know our auxiliary, you know they know how to put on one heck of a basket raffle.
Bang, bang, bingo!
Yeah. So come on down and see us. We're also going to have some carnival games. We're going to have a Plinko game, adult carnival games. Plinko for some cash and scratch tickets. We've got a cornhole toss for some really nice cornhole boards. We're going to have Thursday Storm's Fishing Challenge. And if those of you that don't know Thursday Storm, he goes by the other name of Chief Paul Doucette. So he is going to be one of our characters. You can find him and all the rest of us on our Facebook page, VFW Post 1332 K9 Challenge. We got a lot of silly videos and we're trying to raise a lot of money. We've got Bang Bang Bingo on Thursday night. We've also got a Chowder Fest. And then Thursday from 11:30 to 2, we were able to snag Double D's. They're going to be in there doing lunch for us, and everything that we're doing is open to the public. The only thing you need a ticket for is the actual murder game, which starts at 5 o'clock on Friday night. And if you have a donation, though, come on down and bring it down to us, because we'll open that right on the floor live when we give the chief our check. So all of this is going for the Bennington Police Department's K9 team. So come on down, have some fun. If you have any questions, you want to donate a basket, we're still accepting donations. You can drop it off right down at the post on Wednesday. And I also want to give a special shout out to Susan Plasan, who is not with us tonight, but was an incredible asset to us in calling people and getting donations. So we're still accepting them. Come on down, and like Norm said, or Mayor Boo Boo said, we are much more than a bar downtown. We are a member and a great partnership in this community. So come on down, and thank you for your time and your support. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'm Mayor Boo Boo, here to support the VFW. And I just want to make one comment, like my cousin Richard Nixon, I am not a crook. No matter what this chicken lover behind me said, I'm not a crook. Thank you.
So I'll just add to this this Thursday Storm thing. We'll be serving some fish and chips down there at the VFW. I can tell you that I've had a lot of fun with my newfound friends here at the VFW. I've been in the VFW several times, and it really isn't just a bar. I mean, there are so many caring people down there. I've been to these meetings, all these planning meetings, and they are really, really, really trying to help this community and help the police department and get another K9. So, you know, I appreciate them so much. I mean, we've had some fun making these videos and things like that, and I didn't want to give it up, Stu. You know, you're not the only one in the room with a mullet now, so I just wanted to share with you that I was going to wear my mullet tonight, but I didn't want to give it all up and have you be disappointed with me, because I've wanted hair like that for a very long time. And but all kidding aside, we are really looking forward to Thursday and Friday, and it's hats off to the people at the VFW, because they're just doing an amazing job. You know, it's just you know, another service club in Bennington that's really giving back to the community, and I just wanted to emphasize the fact that they are extremely supportive, and some of my staff have worked hard to put baskets together, and we're going to make this all happen on Thursday and Friday night. So I'm not quite the performer that she is, or that Mayor Boo Boo is, but the bottom line is, stop down and maybe you see a different side of me.
Check out those videos on the Facebook event page, because he is a performer. Not as excitable as Norm. Thank you.
Thank you all. That was really delightful, and I feel sorry for anyone that has to go after you in public comment. All right.
Thank you.
Ginny Dewar, you're up. Sorry. For events, I can't read your writing.
Hi, Jenny Dewar, here on behalf of the Apple Barn in Bennington. While I'm not employed by the Apple Barn, Sarah, the owner, has subcontracted me to arrange and handle all the vendors for the upcoming events of the season. We're going to be doing 6 festivals on the 3rd Saturdays of each month. We'll be taking a break in August. That's when the food truck festival is. So the festivals are April 20th. We're having Maple in April, and that's going to be indoors with a couple of food trucks outside. On May 18th, we have Roots and Blooms, which is to celebrate spring and moms, even though it's a week after Mother's Day. You know, mothers can be celebrated more than one day a year. June 15th will be Flavors of Vermont. That'll be a food festival with trucks and also food to take away. July 20th is the Blueberry Festival. This is the second year of the Blueberry Festival. That was a huge success last year, so that will be continued. September 21st is the Heritage Harvest Festival, which is also year 2. And we'll close it out on October 26th with Spirits of Samhain, which is a celebration of Samhain and Halloween. Samhain is spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N if you want to look it up. And that is what I celebrate. All the festivals are going to be from 10 to 5, except for Samhain, which will be 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. So that'll be lots of spooky things and fun witchy things and so on. I'm also starting she has kindly given me real estate in the north lot, which is a grassy lot, to have a maker's market on Sundays from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. There's going to be crafts. It'll be mostly a craft market, but there will be some food. That's going to start on May 5th, go through September 15th. Vendors can request applications by emailing me at orchardAirLLC@gmail.com, or go to the Facebook Apple Barn page, and on the events, it also has the link to the applications. Questions?
Thank you very much. We look forward to them.
Be a fun year.
Sounds like it. All right, next up, Sam Rustino, who is going to talk about April 1st meeting, crosswalks, and AP Trail.
Good evening, Sam Rustino, Bennington, Vermont. Yes, the April 1st meeting was well attended of a different event that was here. I was elated at the general public in Bennington. In fact, I think it was one of the best darn meetings that has happened in Bennington for a long, long time. There was no sign-up sheet, no time constraints, and people were heard, and they were transparent. I strongly urge that other meetings that take place follow that suit as well. Speaking of crosswalks, yes, I know the situation when Mother Nature permits time to be painted. They go hopefully in the middle part of May or June, but I would like to see something similar to be put in place since we are so deep into grants and the transportation sector of it. Maybe we can get a grant for those blinking amber lights that they have in front of North Bennington at the library. Crosswalks are very important. If we're going to be in an inviting town, then we have to have inviting crosswalks. I figure one a year we should put them. The first one being in front of Bennington Pizza on Main Street and where Madison's is. That seems to be a highly traveled crosswalk to be put there. Speaking of us being in the Appalachian Trail, hikers don't really have a place to pitch a tent at night when they come into our fair town. I was looking at a piece of parcel of land that I think the town of Bennington owns. It's just diagonally from the Tennybrook car wash. There's a green space that's there. If we could permit them to set up their tent at night and then come daybreak, they are allowed to vacate the premises. We don't have a place for hikers that hike the Appalachian Trail to spend their time here in Bennington. And just on a second note, we just came through an eclipse, and people are probably wondering, what are we doing with the glasses? Well, Park McCullough House has stepped up to recycling those. So between now and April 15th, they're donating them to Astronauts Without Borders, and those go to other countries that are going to be experiencing an eclipse.
Thank you, Sam. All right, Asher, you are up to talk about disability and candidacy.
Hi there, everybody. Asher Edelson, Bennington. It's good to see you all here. Good to see so many people in the audience. I would like to let folks know that there's a Vermont Democratic Disability Caucus that is currently active in our state. I invite those of you who either have disabilities, care about disability issues, or both, to reach out to me. If you don't know how to get in touch with me, that's fine. Each and every one of your select board members does know how to get in touch with me. Sorry to make you all the conduit. I'm really trying to grow it. That way folks who have the desire to see folks like me and with other disabilities across the wide spectrum to have a voice in our government and to have representation and to have community. And if you're not a Democrat, that's fine. I know of other disability organizations across the state that I would be happy to refer you to. I am the chair of the caucus, so getting in touch with me will be the best link, so that way I can get you in touch, or rather get you the Zoom link, because we meet monthly. We've already had David Zuckerman, Sarah Copeland-Hanzas, and Mike Piachuk as our guest speakers, and we're hoping to have other high-profile folks join us in the near future. Furthermore, I would like to announce that I am running for the Vermont House of Representatives, Bennington District 2. I'm really excited about this, and I just wanted to let you all know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asher. All right, anyone else that didn't sign up that would like to speak? Public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a comment, please. Our friends from the VFW, I think, have understated their role in our community. They are consistently involved with any needs. As you all may be aware, there's people in this town who've had personal medical crises, and the VFW stepped up to the plate. And
Clark, that's better under other business.
well,
That is
I just
really
want to
not part of
recommend that,
public
you know,
comment,
what
so I'm
they're
gonna-
doing.
Clark, I'm going to rule you out of order.
Okay,
Please stop.
fine. I
Please
still
stop.
say they need to be better recognized and supported, as they ask us to do this evening, out of order or not. They need your community support.
Okay. All right. I wanted to, just because someone just asked, we all tonight got conflict of interest forms to sign, and we also all received the special events and demonstrations policy. There are other policies coming. So this is one of many. So this is just for us to have, because we are often asked about events and what the protocol is. So this is just to make sure that we have it handy. Okay? So that's the only reason it's here. We've already adopted it, and it has been in use for a bit. All right, so let's move on to yearly goals. So something that we've traditionally done at reorganization is give every member a couple minutes to talk about their top 2 or 3 goals or priorities. And this is always really difficult, because we all have a lot of things that we care about, and a lot of things we want to talk about, and we'll be here all night if we do that. So this is really an opportunity just to pick 1 or 2 and try and, keep our own comments to 3 minutes or so to share with each other, so that as we think about how we want this board to move forward this year, we have all of our thoughts in mind, and also the audience, the public, knows what to expect from us and to comment if they like or don't like the trajectory that we're on. Nancy, I'm not going to make you go first. Ed, would you mind? We'll go around.
I don't mind going first, as long as you'll humor me and let me back up for 1 second regarding conflict of interest, if I could make a statement in that regard.
Oh, sure, of course.
I'd like to make a quick statement regarding conflict of interest. As the chair just mentioned, and as those of us that are sitting up here know, part of reorganization is to sign that disclosure form at the beginning of the meeting, which I did. I want to make the statement that As many of you know, I sit on the board of the Village of Old Bennington, where I happen to live. I see it as the board of an HOA for any, sort of planned residential community. I have inquired with the Vermont League of Cities and Towns and have inquired with legal counsel to confirm that there is no conflict of interest. But I want to assure everyone that in order to eliminate any risk of real or perceived conflict of interest, if any business regarding the village were to come before this board, I would, of course, recuse myself. And that's my statement regarding that. Now, goals and priorities are a little bit more fun. I want to start by saying that I came into this board a year ago, and the board was in the throes of a whole bunch of great stuff, and I saw so much of that get moved along in my first year. So the first thing that I want to say is that I want to continue working with the town staff and this board and the community to identify new opportunities for the citizens of Bennington in the areas of development, housing, recreation, jobs growth with minimal impact to taxpayers. We saw so much of that happen over the last year. And the examples that I'm talking about, the ongoing effort to the Ben High project, the skate park, rail trails that were improved. I'm so excited about year 2 of my term and supporting the team that is working so hard. It's important that we all continue to listen to public opinion on the issues that matter most and really use that information to guide the way that I vote from behind this table. So that's goal number 2. And then goal number 3, as you all know, you may know, we are assigned as liaison to boards and organizations throughout the town, and I look forward to getting to know the board or organization that I am assigned to as liaison for this coming year. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Tom?
All right. Goals are important. When thinking about mine, I was reminded that the work of boards like this one have to be constantly evolving. We need to continually remind ourselves that doing things the way they've always been done just for the sake of that's the way they've always been done can hold us back. We must innovate, and we cannot be afraid to change. Everything we do here is interconnected. We've got to continue to address our housing crisis by doing our part to shepherd the Ben High project to a successful conclusion. We need to find other ways to create new housing across the economic spectrum via new public-private partnerships. We need to find ways to convert our blighted and underutilized properties. We need to encourage new development with responsive zoning practices that allow us to expand while not sacrificing our way of life. We need to encourage the state to fix Act 250. We need to continue to support and expand our parks, trails, and recreational facilities, and we need to continue to work with the Y to build on the programs they provide to our youth and our seniors. We need to continue our work on diversity and inclusion. A diverse community is a strong community. We need to continue to work with our community partners to address our homelessness and substance abuse crises in ways that give our neighbors the tools to help themselves and provide them with a boost when they can't get there alone. Much of our town leadership across departments is aging. We need to encourage and provide a path for our younger workers to develop their skill sets so they're ready to step in when they're needed. We need to foster and encourage greater citizen involvement in town government, be it by serving on boards and commissions, running for office, or simply by attending and participating in meetings. We need to get younger people involved with our town. We need their ideas and their voices. This board cannot do anything in a vacuum. We cannot succeed in isolation. We need to work more closely with our Chamber of Commerce and the BBC to find ways to promote our town. We need to continue to support our nonprofits in the good work that they do, and we need regular and proactive communication with them. So together, we can all make a better Bennington. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Clark?
Good evening. I'll try to be brief, which I'm not good at. I was elected by the people of Bennington, or correction, I chose to run after speaking with many people across this town who routinely and regularly stated to me they felt unheard, not respected, by this board. I witnessed things that I found reprehensible, actions that greatly offended me as someone who at one point in his life raised his right hand and swore he was willing to give his life for this country. It is my goal to, number one, be the voice of those who feel they are not listened to, heard, or respected in this town, and to make sure that no one ever feels that way when they come before this board or speak to members of our community management. All these things mentioned by my peers are excellent. Unless people in this town feel respected, it doesn't matter what we're doing, because the number one obligation we have as public leaders and representatives of the electorate is to respect them, respect their wishes, and do everything we can to support those issues. Other than that, I've got no promises other than to be an honest broker for those people who come to me with their concerns.
Thank you, Clark. Jean?
I'm going to tackle this question in 3 parts, and I will be brief, I promise. The first project on my list is Ben High. This project checks so many boxes: beautiful, affordable, and market-rate housing that is desperately needed, recreation space, better and bigger space for the senior center and Meals on Wheels, and high-quality childcare, also desperately needed, all in a neighborhood that deserves a break and some good news. And the icing on the cake is taking a blighted building and recreating it into something wonderful. The second project on my list is, while I personally know nothing about skateboarding, I can appreciate that it is extremely important to many people, especially youth and their parents. I have seen a grown man cry when he spoke to me about how powerful skateboarding was for him when he was younger. Giving kids who live here and those who will be traveling through a great place that's safe and have some fun and provide a boost to area business owners is a win-win-win. Kind of bigger town issues that rose to the top for me are the select board. First of all, I want to say the select board cannot solve all the problems we have in Bennington because it is outside the scope of our authority, but we can offer support and play a role in addressing issues where it is needed and appropriate. Substance use disorder and homelessness are areas of great concern to me. I'm very pleased we have invited local experts to come to our meetings to share their perspective and update the select board and the community on the status of their work, and I am confident that will continue. And I will support doing more when possible, such as vote in favor of the town being a pass-through for grants, etc. The last bucket I just want to make a quick statement about is more of a general concern, and it's not new for me. I've had this concern for many years. I hope we can all agree we are living in the age of misinformation and that social media platforms are not great sources for accurate information. We as a board should do all we can to make sure the public has easy access to factually correct information. The town's website is a great place to go for anything and everything town-related, and town staff are more than willing to answer questions, which is fantastic and much appreciated. An idea I have is to have Jonah, and I did check with Jonah, to do a tutorial at one of our meetings to show people how easy it is to use and find information. Ultimately, we are each responsible for educating ourselves. It is our responsibility as a board to make sure the public has the information they need and the ability to find it. I'm sure there are many other things we can do to fight against misinformation, and we should explore all of them. Hopefully, this will get us started.
Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Nancy?
My goal is for the people of Bennington to understand that you are the stakeholders in our town. We're elected to work for the people of Bennington. We're not elected to work for the county, the region, the Berkshires, or any place else. The people of Bennington pay the lion's share of the town budget. This is your money we're using, and for several years now, the people of Bennington have been dragged into projects and programs where they've been blocked from having any say or participation, but when it comes time to pay, it goes into the town budget, which means the taxpayers are on the hook. I have many concerns about the cost for the Ben High to the town taxpayers. I have concerns that, as far as the skateboard park goes, it was basically a done deal before the public heard about it. I support a skateboard park in the right place. I don't think Depot Street is the right place. The public was promised 2 years ago, along with the select board, we would see the proposed finished design, we would know the total cost, we would know what it would cost the taxpayers each year, and someone would explain this public-private partnership. We know nothing. I've learned more about skateboard parks in the last week than I thought I ever would. So I have a lot of questions and concerns, and we need to get that on an agenda in the near future, because there are far too many loose ends, especially where costs are involved. The town website is great, but there's information that isn't available on there. And what better way for a person to get information than to come in here, ask a question, and get an answer? Censorship isn't good. And a lot of what the board has done over the past couple of years, in my opinion, is censorship. For 50 years, people have not just been encouraged, they have been welcome to come before us with questions. If a person isn't here for a meeting, and we discuss something, and they want to come in and ask a question at the next meeting, that shouldn't be an issue. For the amount of money people pay to live in this town, if they have a question, they should be able to come here and get an answer. I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is. This was never an issue until a couple of years ago. So I'm here to work for the people of Bennington. Before I vote to spend any money, I'm going to make sure the public understands clearly what the costs are going to be. That's it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yep.
All right. Well, what I wanted to say is that Bennington has changed dramatically in the 35 years that I've lived in this town. Our demographics have skewed older. We are seeing a lot of young families moving to the Bennington area, and they are bringing with them more racial, ethnic, and gender diversity, and that is a good thing. We still have education and healthcare as our major employers in our community. We still have small business as our backbone for our local economy. We no longer have the manufacturing jobs that we had 30 years ago. Things are changing. We need to change along with that if we want to remain a viable town. So I have two priorities that I wanted to highlight tonight, and the first one is an A through D. But the first is to continue our work toward our town vision as a welcoming, inclusive community and a place where our has an outstanding quality of life. The Select Board has very specific and important roles to take with regard to that. First is making sure that we have excellent infrastructure, that our roads, that our sidewalks, that our water and sewer, that we have charging stations, that we have everything that someone coming to a healthy town expects to see when they get here. Second is to continue. Second is to continue to increase our indoor and outdoor recreational opportunities. Everything that we're doing, from making sure that we're going to have an indoor gym that's going to be available to the community, to all the wonderful bike and pedestrian pathways that we've been working on, and everything in between. That is all incredibly important. We also need to continue to support our urgent need for more housing, the fact that people are locating in surrounding communities and maybe over the border into New York State because they can't find housing in Vermont, hurts our tax base. It also impacts our ability to attract a good workforce. We need to make sure that we are looking at all types of housing and all price points for housing. And we need to continue to support small business through the town's Community Development Office, which has done that in an extraordinary way, and also to continue to make sure that everyone knows that there's a revolving loan fund that can help small business in our community. So that's one. And then the second priority that I think is really critical, and it has been mentioned by a couple other people, is that we need to find ways to diversify our tax base. We have to ease our tax burden. We need to look at the successes in other communities, see what's worked there, look at it with an open mind. What are our options? What can we do besides just tax people? Our town budget is very lean. We have a town manager that, as we all know, because we see the before and after, cuts stuff out of the budget every single year. We cannot depend only on our tax base in order to take care of our community. We've been really fortunate in the last couple years, and again, this is in large part because of the great work the staff has done. We have gotten millions of dollars that have come in through state and federal funds for Putnam Phase 1 and 2, for Ben High, for other housing redevelopment in the community, for infrastructure, and also for recreation improvements. And all of that is absolutely fantastic, and we need to applaud it and just, be so happy about it. But we also need something that's more predictable year to year. If we don't have these windfalls every year, we are going to be in a bit of a pickle. So this is a big discussion. It's going to be a discussion with the select board, with town staff, with the business community, and also with the broader community. And I hope that we can start having that conversation very soon, because I think that, tax budget time comes around every January, and we want to be prepared for it. So that's all I've got to say on that. I do want to note that Sarah is not here tonight, and it is really important, I think, that all of us get to share our priorities with the community. So we will make sure that we carve out time in other business so that Sarah can address her priorities at the next meeting, okay? Because I think it's helpful to all of us.
Can I make one follow-up?
Sure, please.
I just want to make one sort of closing comment on that. I heard a lot of consensus tonight, and that's pretty cool. I heard some new ideas that I can get excited about. I also heard some misinformation, and I want to warn the public and this board that when misinformation starts on this side of the table, it can be very dangerous. So I'd like to urge the board to be careful there.
Please clarify the misinformation.
This is not, it's not a discussion item.
It should be. If someone's going to
Nancy?
make a statement like that, they should back it up.
Nancy, you can take it up later, but this right now is not appropriate. So the
Well, I'm
next
sorry.
item.
Excuse me. I don't think it's
Nancy, you're out of
appropriate.
order. Please stop.
Jeannie, I'm on this side of the
Nancy,
table.
even more so, and even more so. So one thing that you need to
If someone is going to
understand-
put a statement out there, they should clarify it.
He did clarify it, and it does not. One thing that is really important that you cannot do on this side of the table is be personal, okay?
I'm not
So,
being personal at all.
think-
I want it clarified who put out false information, misinformation.
Nancy, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to stop. The next item on the agenda is the proposed policy on communications, first reading. And Jonah, I'm going to ask you to just come up and explain to us why we have this policy and how it's going to help us and anything we should be particularly paying attention to.
Hi, I'm Jonah Spivak, Communications Coordinator for the town of Bennington. I was tasked with putting together a draft communications policy for the town of Bennington, and simply because we don't currently have one. And in particular, this focuses on online and social media, which is obviously an important part of our communication structure, and the feeling was we needed a policy to help guide us. To do that, I first looked at samples from other towns in Vermont to see what they were doing for their communications policies. I also consulted with the Vermont League of Cities and Towns and asked for them for suggestions and their models for communications policies. And then finally, I worked with staff to show them early drafts, to get their comments and feedback, to make sure that this was something that seemed workable and logical to those folks. The primary focus, as I said, is on online, and the categories are really it's social media. We talk about the town website. We talk about the Vermont Begins Here website. We also talk about public records requests. And just a side note, FOIA, which people commonly think of when they think of public records requests, is the federal, now I'm blanking on it, the Freedom of Information Act, and it's specific to the federal government. And here in Vermont, we have a law that does the same thing, but it is called a public records request. And since my role as communications coordinator is new, and that is one of the functions for me, that is also in this policy. And then finally, we also talk about emergency communications as part of this. So this is the first draft. It's before you today, and I look forward to your thoughts and comments. And if you have any initial questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can.
Great. And you did note that there is one word missing on line 81.
Yes, on line 81, where it starts public bodies that relate to municipal, and there's a missing word, the word is business. And I do apologize, that has already been updated and changed, but it didn't make it into your packet.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So I'll start with the board. Any comments about this first reading? It will come back to us at the next meeting for final approval. So anyone have any comments on this policy, on the actual language of the policy?
I have a couple.
Okay, go
Please,
ahead.
Jonah.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for all your hard work. Line 32, item B, it's just no new social media accounts. What are the current social media accounts maintained by the town?
Yep, so thank you for that. In item A, we specify the following social media platforms as designated as government speech forums, and currently that is Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, so those are going to be exclusive. There's
Well, any new ones, that would be at the prerogative of the town manager to designate any new ones.
All right. And line 45, item E, public user content is not allowed on town, or I assume that means on town social media platforms identified as government speech forums.
Yep.
Am I to interpret that as information or items published on the town site? There will be no public comment or discussion on those sites?
Actually, what that refers to is sometimes on a Facebook page, anyone can post their own content on the Facebook page. So for example, your friends can post a picture of their cat on your Facebook page. That we do not allow. The only content that is posted on the Facebook page will be from the designated people in the town that do that. But I think your question is actually more specific to It's more specific to when we talk about, let me find the exact line for you. Okay, if you look at line 52, item F. Oh, actually, even better. It really starts on line 47. And basically that says that the purpose of this is for the town to engage in its own expressive conduct, to promote its own message, and to distribute information. And here's the point I think you're asking about. All comments made on town posts are filtered equally, regardless of content, using Facebook's word filtering feature, with the goal of not allowing any unfiltered comments to be posted. So what that means is that anyone, and by the way, we do not block anyone from our Facebook page. Anyone is allowed to comment, but what the filtering does is that everyone can see their own comments and all their friends can see their own comments, but the public as a whole, unless you're friends with that person, will not see those comments.
So basically, the public at large will not be aware of or involved in any sort of discourse, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that anyone can make a comment, and they and their friends will all see it, but it won't be wider than that.
So that's why I say the public at large. So unless you're in that individual's social contacts, your comments or views on an issue on the public site will be just between the public site and you and your immediate circle, not those unconnected to you.
That is correct.
Okay, so the public will, in general, will not be aware of any discourse. That's how I interpret that.
Well, there's a very good practical reason for that, and I would argue that it does not prevent public discourse in any way. There's many public forums that are available for people to make their views known, including the public comment at every meeting that we have here, as well as other...
We hope.
Yeah, as well as many other websites and Facebook pages. There's lots of places where that can happen. But one of the reasons, it's a very practical reason, is that we as a town have to be very careful not to accidentally be creating public records. If we engage in a discourse on the town's Facebook page, then that in effect creates a public record. And in order to fulfill our role as keepers of all the town records, we would then have to preserve all of those records basically forever. We have been solicited by companies that provide those services, and it's around $600 to $700 per month for them to archive and store those Facebook comments for us. So by limiting by filtering all comments equally, we don't have that problem. And the other thing we do, even if you're not on social media, everything we post on social media also resides on our town website. And that is our primary device for putting out public information, and we have control over that, and we can keep all those records forever, essentially. Does that help explain the situation, or?
It explains it. I wouldn't say it helps, but it explains it. Again, I'm as I said previously, I don't like the idea of not being in a public forum where ideas are exchanged and communicated amongst the public at large. But I understand the money talks part of this, but I still believe it's very important that the public at large know what is being discussed or said on the town website.
And I would just respond and say that if there are people whose opinions that you care about and that you want to hear about, just friend them. As long as you're friends with them, you will see every post that they make.
I can't have 15,000 friends. I could, but...
And actually, I would draw your attention that line 80, the open meeting law compliance, that really is for select board members. And it's important to note that no select board member should ever post a comment on the town's Facebook page, because that does inadvertently create a public record, and then we would have to preserve that forever.
Yes, and we did actually talk about that in the training, using Front Porch Forum as the example, but this would be equally, yeah, we have to be very careful. Clark, any other questions?
Not at this point, but
right.
The night's early.
All right, anyone else on the board? Yes, Nancy.
Joan, are you involved in the Vermont Beacons Here website?
I am not.
I'm just looking, I just wondered how many businesses in Bennington are part of it. I see that they need to contact. I would hope that every private business would be aware and be on the website now, but you wouldn't have any idea if all the businesses are included?
We do, we're really focused on businesses that are geared towards the traveling public, so we're not really listing things like professional offices or lawyers or those categories of businesses. But every public-facing business that would cater to tourists should be on the website, and if we missed any, certainly reach out to us and we'd be happy to add those.
Great, thank you.
And what does it mean, businesses located in Bennington and of interest to the traveling public? Are you still talking Bennington businesses only, or are we advertising anybody outside of Bennington?
It's Bennington businesses only, and that does go back to what I was originally saying. So when I say geared towards people interested in visiting Bennington, that's why we don't have like CPAs and lawyers and things like that.
No, but you have like florists or anybody that sells gifts or crafts, anything on
Correct.
Northside Drive, Main Street, everybody's included.
Yes, they should be. And if we missed anyone, they can reach out, and we'd be happy to add them.
Okay. And on the last page, in case of an emergency,
Yeah.
depending on what the emergency is, would you be the only one putting the information out? I wonder if there would be times that the public wouldn't rather hear from the town manager or the chair.
Can I just say that the local emergency management plan is on our next agenda, and it's being worked on right now, so that would be the place actually to...
All right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm not top of that list. Our Chief Safety Officer, Paul Doucette, is really top of that list. But I am part of that chain.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
That's it.
Anyone else have questions from the board?
Yeah. You say on lines 29 and 30 that the primary social media platforms are Facebook and Instagram. Could you explain why you chose those two over any of the others that are out there?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, Facebook is our #1 source of information according to our community survey. And that survey, we had about 1 out of every 18 residents of our town did participate in that survey. And I think that was, don't quote me on this, but I think it was around 60% used that as their primary source. So we recognized instantly that that was obviously a key channel for us. Instagram, our numbers are continuing to grow, but we also recognize that that reaches a younger demographic that is not as effectively reached by Facebook, so we felt that it was really important that we need to have both of those represented.
Other questions from the board? Jonah, can I just ask on the line 144, the town may reach out to community partners such as the SVSU to help amplify and broaden the reach of emergency information. I'm just thinking it might be useful to think about maybe adding BCRC or Department of Health, or, I get that we're just giving examples, but it might be useful for us to think about who are those key organizations that in the case of an emergency, people would reach out to.
I did specifically mention them in part because they do have an important asset to bring to the table, which is they have an extremely large mobile phone list that they can push notifications out to instantly. And while we do offer that on our website, by the way, go to our e-notify page, you can be notified whenever content is updated on our website. We wanted something that hit a really broad segment of the population, so we did reach out to them to ask if that would be possible in the case of an emergency for them to push out those sort of emergency messages. So that was not just an example, but a very specific example for a good reason.
All right. Still, if we could just think about maybe broadening that out a little bit, that would be super. All right, any more questions from the board?
I have one other question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is anybody aware of any changes that may be being made in Montpelier right now, laws being changed as far as public record requests go?
I'm not aware of that.
There's any major legislation being considered
Okay.
to change the public records.
Okay,
But
I just didn't know.
Good question.
as far as I know in this session, I haven't seen anything like that, but I'll check. Yeah.
Okay.
I have one other question. I was actually approached by some folks from WBTN, hoping that they could be more of a presence in some of our emergency communications or community communications actions. And I noticed you meant here other partners, other community partners.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
See about adding them, because they have a phenomenal broadcast system here,
absolutely.
both FM and AM on that. And on a personal level, I'm not good with acronyms, so whenever I see an acronym for the first time, my eyeballs start spinning. So just maybe if we're going to put acronyms in, if we could.
You're absolutely right, Clark. That was an oversight. That's the Southwestern Vermont Supervisory Union, and I will spell it out.
I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, thank you. A very good point, yep.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Anyone in the public who'd like to comment? Sam, come on up. Sam, this one. Thank you.
You like to give direction.
Well, what we're trying to do is not have...
Matter. I live in this community 61 years, and you're dictating what I say, what I do, how I act, where I stand. I respect my select board members, and in the fact of the matter is, San Marino, Bennington, Vermont, with communication, unbeknownst to you folks and the people in this room, I have been appointed part of the co-host for a radio show every morning from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. with Michael Hall. Morning with Mike and Sam. And with that opens that up with me to more information, to be a little bit transparent with this board of information coming in. You have numerous lists on social media. If you're not members of somebody from a social media, you are left out of the loop. We have Bennington Banner for information. It's spoon-fed to us. Only certain matters of documented information.
Sam, I'm going to ask you, can you address your questions to any comments?
It's on communication, of how you communicate with the general public.
Can you tailor it to this policy, please?
I am tailoring it to the policy. Where do you get your communication? From select board members, from the website, Bennington Banner? You got now a radio that has been for a long, long time, WBTN, which I'm part of right now. I want that line of communication opened up. And if I make an oopa as far as making a statement, I support my statement when I post on social media. If I make a mistake, I make a correction. I'm trying to enlighten Bennington as much and educate them as much as possible. That's all.
Thank you, Sam. Any other questions, comments on the policy? Yes, please, Shirley.
Just a quick question. Shirley Adams of Bennington. Is the only official website and Facebook page the town of Bennington? Like, does the Bennington Police website or Facebook?
Do you want to explain the connection?
Are there other sites that are Bennington government as well?
So you are correct. The Bennington Police Department does have a Facebook page, and it's absolutely essential for getting out timely information on public safety issues, and that is how that is used. The Town of Bennington website incorporates the Bennington Police Department website, so if you type in benningtonpolice.com, you'll go to their section of the benningtonvermont.com website. So it's all one unified website, but there is an additional Facebook page specific to the police department because they're 24/7, their dispatch staff has access to that, and our goal is to get timely information out as it happens. And if I misspeak or have anything to add, I invite the chief to chime in. Or, yeah. Thank you.
Jonah, based on Shirley's comment, though, should you say the town Facebook and the police department Facebook? You have your own policy. Okay. But it should be under the town's policy, right?
Well, I believe we have an entire policy specific to that.
I see the chief.
Yep. Do you want to
slowly moving toward the podium? Come on up.
Do you want to speak to that? Yep.
Right. We're still in COVID. I mean,
The Bennington Police Department does have their own Facebook page. As Jonah said, it's so we can get information out timely. We post things sometimes all hours of the day and night, and Jonah's great, but he's basically here Monday through Friday. And Jonah, we're not going to bother Jonah to talk about lost dogs or to talk about a traffic crash or that we closed Route 7 or what have you. So we maintain our own. I will share with you that when Jonah started working on this policy, we, the police department, shared our policy with the town so we could all work together to make sure that they worked smoothly together and that they flowed smoothly. And so what Jonah's going over here is a town policy, but as you all know, especially for those of you that have been around in the last 4 years, we have really worked our policies hard to make sure that we were up to date and that our policies and procedures are accurate. So we do have our own policies and procedures. We have policies and procedures that prevent our people, for example, from posting on social media with anything that displays the police department patch or town logo or what have you. So we address the personal side as well as the work side, the professional side, and that's a much needed policy within our agency. So, you know, it's almost like having a personnel manual and a working agreement. You need both. To make sure that the town functions properly. So what Joan is talking about here is a town policy, and it does not impede the police department from what we have to do for public safety. And the Bennington Fire Department also has their own Facebook page where they talk about fire calls that they go on and things of that nature as well, which is also needed. I think that's
okay. That's
I hope that
helpful.
answers.
I'm wondering if there can be something in here. I mean, again, to Shirley's point, can there be something in here that says that the fire department and police department have their own policies? And I'm assuming the fire department's Facebook page follows your policy?
The fire department has their own set of policies and procedures within the department. Yeah, I mean, that's normal. The fire department has, I mean, they do different things than Public Works, than the police department, and that is monitored by Deputy Chief Scott Richmond. He does the posting on Facebook. So, and I do, you know, I do occasionally look at their Facebook page, and again, they're putting up professional information. They talk about fire safety and things of that nature. So, you know, they're not putting up any information that's not relevant to the community. So I don't know exactly what their policy says, but I will find out, and I can share that with Jonah. But again, police department, fire department, and the town all have Facebook pages.
Okay, so it sounds like we probably need to.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Just so that it's clear that those departments or those organizations don't necessarily fall under the Bennington town policy. And I think we're also talking about the rescue squad.
They're not part of
They're not part of the town.
They're separate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we can also add something in Jonah's policy and reference the police department policy or what have you.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Absolutely.
I can work with
Okay.
Jonah on that
All right.
with Stu's permission.
And the police department, frankly, is ahead of the game, and as he said, I did use their model as well. Theirs is stricter than ours.
Yeah, and it is both public-facing and internal, as opposed to this, which is really only
Just public-facing, correct, yeah.
That's correct.
All right, that's
Thank you.
helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
good
you.
question.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shirley. That was a very good clarification. All right, anything else, either public or select board?
Yes. You know, I think this last discussion we had goes along with that, my previous discussion or question about list of town accounts. And it seems to me this should be kind of a statement of an umbrella. You know, I understand that these departments are all responsive to the town manager. So if these policies should say that, you know, pretty much those organizations subject to supervision by the town manager should have parallel policies. We can't have a department that operates differently than what the umbrella of the town policy may be. So again, I think that goes in line with, you know, one of my thoughts on the list of town accounts per se, that, it's Facebook, but it's police department Facebook, DPW Facebook, whatever.
I think that's appropriate, yeah.
Yeah, I think we need an umbrella statement that those areas that fall under the purview of Stu Hurt here should probably be subject to this.
So that's great. So you will work on this, and if people have comments that are watching tonight, they can contact you.
That's correct.
Yeah, that you will bring, but hopefully in the next week, so that you can come back at our next meeting with a revised draft.
I'd be happy to, yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you. This has been really helpful.
Very good, Jonah. Thank you.
All right. So next up is setting the date. So I think setting the date and announcing that we are looking for new board and commission members. We have 8 boards, and we have openings on 7 of them. We don't have any openings on the Planning Commission right now. But we have 16 seats. Some people that are in those seats now may reapply. but some of those seats will probably be completely open. But there are 16 seats that are up for reappointment, and I think I would like to recommend that we give until May 15th for people to get their letters of intent to the town manager. What happens after that is that we interview anyone that is a new candidate that's not currently in a position, or anyone, or candidates in positions where there are more applicants than there are seats. So if there's a board that one person applies and no one else applies and they've been in that position, then we don't generally interview them. But otherwise we do. So we generally do that early on a, Monday before a select board meeting, or find another day in the week if that's better, and meet with them. But we need to first set a date. Are we comfortable with May 15th as a date that gives people 5 weeks to learn about the positions, which they can find out a lot of information on the website. It's very easy to find. You just look at boards and commissions, and then send a letter of intent to the town manager, SHURD, steward@benningtonvt.org. And in the letter, you're welcome to say, I'm interested in positions on the following 3 boards or commissions, and we will only appoint you to one, but it's nice if you have interest in several. That's great, because then we can see where people will best fit on boards and commissions. And it's been really great. We've gotten a lot of new people to Bennington joining boards. I think it's been they've added a lot of talent and skill to those boards, and it's been great. So please consider applying. Looking for a motion to set the date for May 15th for letters of interest.
I'll make that motion for points of discussion. I have one more question after we...
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Yep.
How do we socialize those open positions beyond this discussion here?
So generally what we've done is write a press release that goes in the paper. We have, I think individually, everybody we see, we say, have you ever considered being on a board or commission? Yep. And I think, and it's on social media, on the website. I think getting the word out is always a tough thing to do. Announcing it at the meeting is also helpful. If anyone has other ideas, please, feel free to encourage people to apply. It's really, I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do, and it helps you help the town, and you learn a lot in the process.
Do we ever send press releases to the radio station?
I don't know, do we?
I mean, they used to be huge. Everybody listened to it in the morning, and I don't know how many people listen today, but...
It's got audience. We should include it.
We can add...
I mean, everybody used to,
Yeah. That's a great... Yeah, thank you. Any other discussion? Ready to vote? All those in favor of setting the date is May 15th for appointments, for letters of intent for appointments, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it. All right, thank you. Next up, we need to set a hearing for the Bolio zone change request, which we have information on in our packet.
Hello, everyone. Most of you know I'm Dan Monks, the Assistant Town Manager. I'm here today with my Planning Director hat on behalf of the Planning Commission, and I am formally submitting to the board for adoption a proposed amendment to the zoning regulations and the town plan. The amendment, as Jeannie mentioned, is a proposal to expand the village residential district by including 7 acres of currently zoned industrial land off of North Branch Street, and Mr. Bolio is the owner of that land. Mr. Bolio made a request to the Planning Commission a couple months ago suggesting that change. The Planning Commission met with Mr. Bolio at a public meeting and then subsequently held a public hearing, a formal public hearing on the proposal, which passed unanimously by the by the Planning Commission, excuse me, and the Planning Commission then asked that the amendment be submitted to the Select Board. As most of you know, the way that these amendments work, they first go to the Planning Commission. If the Planning Commission recommends them for approval, these amendments go to the Select Board. In this particular case, given the type of amendment it is, the Select Board then would, if they wish to proceed, would hold 2 public hearings. After those 2 public hearings, the Select Board would decide whether or not to formally adopt those amendments, or that amendment to the town plan and the amendment to the zoning regulations or land use regulations. So this evening, all I'm asking, or all that's, and then that's all that's appropriate actually, is that the Select Board set 2 public hearing dates so that we can get the legal notices out to the public, and I am suggesting 2 Select Board meetings in June, June 10th, 2024, and June 24th, 2024. And all I would ask the board to do this evening, if those dates are acceptable, is to make a motion to set those hearing dates for those times in June, and then I'll make sure that the appropriate notices go out.
All right, do I have a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I'll move that we set the public hearings in this matter for June 10th and June 24th.
All right. Any second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just need to make you aware I will not be at the June 10th Select Board meeting.
All right. Any other discussion?
Yes. My question, hopefully, gentleman wants to build houses.
That's correct.
How long does it take?
I think that was the Planning Commission's response as well, so shared.
That's why we have it.
Yes. And we'll have lots more on that when we have the public hearing, so folks can understand what the intention is.
Yes. All right. Any more discussion on the dates? No? Hearing none? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up is the manager's report. Stu?
Yes, thank you. I have several action items tonight, and I have a couple of documents that require board signatures. The documents have already been approved. These 2 documents relate to steps 2 and 3 of the South End upgrades, which are upgrades to our water system in the Jefferson Heights, Margaret Lane, Crescent Boulevard area. These were voted by the people to be bonded. In fact, the original authorization date for Step 2 was February 10th of 23. For Step 3, it was June 26th of 23. The state has now come back to me and has asked that the board now also sign these documents as they prepare to move forward. So I will circulate these for your signature. They don't need a vote. You've already approved them, and my signature's already been authorized on there, but I will circulate, and please sign where your printed name is. That would be helpful. 2 or 3 other action items. We'll start with the easiest. Normally, we would meet on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of May. The 4th Monday of May is Memorial Day. And so we are asking the board to change its meeting date to Monday, May 20th, which would be the 3rd Monday of that particular month. We'll generally try to keep the meeting short and quick because it will be 2 meeting nights, 2 Monday nights in a row. But this has been done in the past, and I'm looking for authorization to make that change.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
I make a motion.
She beat you.
She got me. I'm good.
You want to second it?
I'd be glad to second.
Okay, all right. Any discussion on not meeting on Memorial Day? Meeting on the 20th? None? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right.
Great. And now the road closures. The BBC, the Better Bennington Corporation, is looking for road closures for Mayfest, Harvest Fest, and the Hemmings Cruise-Ins. I've outlined the dates of the cruise-ins, the road closures, the times of those closures. I don't think I need to read through them here for you now, but I would be looking for a motion to close the streets as requested for the dates and times noted above.
No motion?
So move.
Right. Someone want to second it? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great.
Thank you very much. And the last is for the Southern Vermont Home Brew Festival. This is a very, very small road closure on Depot Street, which will be just off the site. They are planning to use the former Tuttle site for the Home Brew Fest, which is scheduled for May 4th on a Saturday from noon until 4 p.m. They had not yet met with the BPD, so this is in a sense conditioned a motion to close that portion of Depot Street that was shown to you on the map for those hours, provided that the Bennington Police Department agrees. And our concern with these kinds of events is that they are serving alcohol, and that alcohol must stay within the site and be controlled by the licensees. So that's the only condition we have, and I know that they have scheduled a meeting with the chief. I believe it's later this week. So I would look for a motion just to approve it because it's coming up very quickly.
Someone?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. I have the same question that we have every single year about the closures on this street. Has the chamber talked to GBIX and to the community cafe?
Yeah, this is a separate organization. The Home Brew Fest is put on by individuals, but yes, they've assured us that they have either talked to them or will talk to them, and you will note that the closure does not close off the access to GBIX or the access to the municipal parking lot,
right,
or the access to the parking lot across the street. It really is just a small closure across the front.
It's the through traffic, right?
Yes, it will allow for it will actually, no, it won't allow for through traffic, but you can access all the public parking lots and GBIX, even with that road closed, should the police approve it.
I mean, I would like to make it contingent, not just on meeting with BPD, but also making sure that they have at least contacted Community Cafe and GBIX so they're aware that this is going to happen.
Very good.
I will so adjust my motion.
And my second.
We're still in discussion, right?
Yes.
I'm wondering if we can't make that part of the plan before it reaches us. Is there a checklist that should be, is it part of the application?
So this is a different group. I mean, this has come up in the past couple of years with the organization that I erroneously
And I'm familiar with that example, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Could we add it to a part of the regular request?
Right. Is there a way that when there's going to be a road closure that folks are notified that this is going to happen, just so it's not a surprise?
We can certainly ask that.
And I don't think it's really, I mean, I think it's not to say yes or no, you can have your festival. It's more to make sure they know so that if there are any unforeseen problems, we can deal with those before the day of the event.
Right, I'm thinking it would open a dialogue between that property owner and the organization well before the event to come up with alternatives.
Yes.
Not alternative road closure, but alternative traffic management or whatever.
Or alcohol, because there are alcohol-free zones on one side.
That's a good point.
So, okay, so any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we have an amended, so we have an amended motion, and we have a suggestion for moving forward on road closures, which we can discuss at another time, I guess.
I'm not suggesting that we
Yeah.
amend this one for
Yeah,
that, right?
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it. Great, thank you.
And folks, the federal funds that are coming to Bennington from Representative Ballant and Senator Welch have already, their stories in the Banner been written about them, so there's no sense in reviewing those now. But one of the important issues that may be coming before you, although you may not have anything to say about it, the trustees of the Village of Old Bennington have been discussing with the assistant manager and me the possibility of the town taking over responsibility or assuming responsibility for the maintenance of their roads in the Village of Old Bennington. I know that the trustees have been, and I don't know, Ed, perhaps you can confirm that you went to your folks, or are you going tomorrow? Is it tomorrow night?
No, last week.
Last week.
Yeah,
So
that
good.
board met last week.
I'm not jumping ahead here. I wanted to make
No,
sure I
you're
didn't do
good.
that. So they have already done the discussions with the folks of Old Bennington. There is a statute that provides for maintenance of village roads by the trustees. That statute, adopted, I believe, in 1959, need only be repealed. And if it is repealed, the town of Bennington assumes control of those roads regardless. So the question that the trustees will have for their people is, do you favor this action, which would be to repeal the statute? And we don't get to vote to say yay or nay. This is a decision of the trustee.
Can you talk a little bit about, are there staffing or financial implications?
We don't believe that there are staffing implications initially. And this would be over a period of time. The benefit is that the grand list of the Village of Old Bennington is added to the grand list of the town of Bennington for tax purposes for highway. So it will actually reduce the tax impact on both the village folks and on the town. So we will grow our grand list without growing our budget initially. It may mean in the future that we might have to look for some different pieces of equipment, especially and focused on sidewalk maintenance, especially in the wintertime. Old Bennington sidewalks are much narrower than ours, and we don't wish to tear up people's lawns as we plow. We do that enough in Bennington, for those of you who might have noticed. But it is one of those maintenance headaches that we have every winter, and that when we're trying to plow sidewalks and get around telephone poles. So we may have to acquire some additional equipment, but that would be something that we would look to in years out. If this happens now, it would really depend on when the legislature acted and when the governor signed it.
Okay, so that timing is that if the Village of Old Bennington decided,
If they were to decide during their annual meeting, which is in May, to ask the legislature to repeal that statute, and the legislature chose to do so, and the governor signed the legislation, it could be effective July 1 of this year, which would mean those roads would come under our care with the existing highway budget we have. Now, Old Bennington has been working with the state of Vermont on a couple of road maintenance issues, and they have some grant monies that may be coming their way, and we've talked about those would come to us so that we would do the project within the time frame that the grant funds allow, but we would have the source of monies that the village now has.
The town would also have highway tax revenue. The village would need to be the pass-through in year one because tax bills will have already gone out by the time this happens. So the town would bill the village for the village resident share of highway taxes.
so it sounds like we wouldn't be caught short.
Correct.
No, we should not be caught short.
Yeah.
Have we ever done the roads before? No.
We actually had a contract with the Village of Old Bennington 1979 through 1981.
That's impressive.
And I'm guessing on the dates, but it's around that time. Jim Colvin was the town manager at the time, and we took care of their roads for a couple of years, and then the village canceled the contract, which they had the right to do, and took back control of those roads.
And if we were to do their roads, what would they have left that they'd be doing for themselves? Just police department?
No, they don't have a police department. We provide police services to the village. They would have a general fund tax that would go through the trustees to maintain the village greens, any plantings or landscaping that the village now maintains would still remain in their control. So they would be a village, they would have...
Still their own board of trustees?
They are a board of trustees, yes. And they would also have land use regulations that they would be enforcing.
Stu, my question is their highway department, DPH, I don't know if their term is, how would that be affected by this? Would that organization be rolled into our DPH, or would they still maintain their own Public Works Department?
They don't have a Public Works Department at the present time.
What's that garage out there? No, you see that garage with all those dump trucks and equipment?
They contract the services.
We don't have any equipment, any people of any kind that are in Old Bennington.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Jean.
Can you just clarify, so it's crystal clear, what maintenance means? Does that mean just plowing, that sort of stuff, or does it mean replacing those beautiful stone, I don't even know what you call them, sidewalks? What does it include?
All of that maintenance that we now do within the town of Bennington, maintenance of sidewalk, curb, drainage, roadway surfaces, all would come to us. We would assume control of all of that.
And is this only from, like, the old First Church to the monument?
Old Bennington has about 3 miles of highway. Similar mileage, a little less mileage for sidewalks. But yes.
And do they have some areas that need significant work right now?
They are working on a grant with the Agency of Transportation for Bank Street, that portion of Bank Street that runs down to the part just above the country club, where we take over.
Well, I'm feeling comforted that you're feeling like the financial piece works out, that we're not going to be that. So it sounds like we don't have a whole lot of control over it, but it sounds like if it should happen, there's not.
Yeah,
a financial deficit that we're going to.
Look, when in winter maintenance, other than the sidewalks, when we drive through Old Bennington to maintain our roads, we lift our plows. So we're just going to leave them down.
It is the pet peeve of every Old Bennington resident to watch a Bennington truck pick up its plow to drive past our house.
It's a great image.
Do you know why they asked the town, why they decided to take it back themselves?
I think that's really a question for the trustees. And I think historically it's been a real problem finding and working with a variety of contractors to do what they need to do. I don't know, and Ed can speak to this, but I can remember when Arnold Ricks was the road commissioner in Old Bennington. They were bidding that out every year. They were changing the contracts to try to solve issues that were developed every year. So you're working with a group of volunteers, the trustees, who are trying to manage a system of roads and sidewalks that in the town of Bennington, we manage them with some ease.
And in the town of Bennington, Nancy, this is a good way for you to look at it, and I've been saying this since I moved to Old Bennington. In the town of Bennington, we have professional people that manage our roads. In Old Bennington, we have 5 volunteers sitting around a table saying, okay, we have to plow this year. Who do we get to plow? We have no expertise in this whatsoever. So,
I just figured they'd probably been contracting out with the same ones for years.
In some cases, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the decision-making at the town level is in Old Bennington. It's an elected group of volunteers who have no idea how to manage roads.
Jean.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about the plowing that, doesn't put your plow down, basically. I mean, that's fine.
Thank you.
Have you taken into consideration the cost of replacing a stretch of that beautiful, I don't want to call them a gutter because that sounds horrible, but...
It's called a swale.
A swale, one of those swales. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that is something Bennington would never have been able to do. Partially because of the cost of installing it. I don't know what the maintenance like, and this is just one example. So as long as you've taken into consideration some of the very, very costly...
Well, I can tell you the swales are in very good shape.
Well, this is true, but they're not always going to be.
If you've gone on Bank Street at all, the Bank Street doesn't have those historic-looking swales. It's just drainage course down through. Those are the kinds of things that we maintain, and we maintain all the time. But as you know, we have brick ribbons in our sidewalks, and every year we are budgeting $8,000 to $10,000 a year to bring in a contractor to pull up the bricks and reset them. So that is something we would take a look at. That is something that would probably impact our budget at some point in the future, but at the present time, that is not an issue.
Okay.
So this is just a heads up. It may be coming. It may not. They may not decide to do it.
Okay. I'm still concerned.
I think it's important to just remind you that the tax revenue, highway tax revenue, that is currently not being collected by the town will be collected by the town.
No, I understand that. I just wonder if it would be enough.
And you thought this was an FYI. Okay.
Got to start the conversation sometime.
It's good. It's actually really helpful because I think it's not anything we've thought about. So, it's nice.
Some of us have thought about it for years.
Okay, you've been thinking about it for 20 years. I have not. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Somewhat longer than that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else in the manager's report?
No, that's all.
Question.
Thank you.
Is there a map, where does Old Bennington end and begin? Is there a map I can
We
look
can
at?
get that for you, yes.
There are maps on
thank
the
you.
town website, too, that show the borders.
All right, upcoming agendas. All right, we've got a list, Stuart. So the local emergency management plan has to be adopted by May 1st in order for us to get maximum emergency funds if we had an emergency. It is, I think, what we've realized is that there's quite a bit. There's more that could be done than we've done in the past on the emergency management plan. So the hope is that we will adopt it with the understanding that we will continue to refine it. This last, the emergency that we had a couple weeks ago with the motel voucher, with the motel vouchers, and the governor really pointed up some important issues for us in terms of how information flows, how we find out about information, what we can do about shelters, just lots of things that came up during that discussion that we may want to do more than just the minimum on the emergency management plan, but we do need to approve it. We have the street naming committee, which had asked to not come tonight. They asked to come to the next meeting. They have been working very hard, and just felt like if they had another 2 weeks, that would make a lot of difference for them. Did you have something to say on that?
I was wondering, on the management plan, we have the right to adopt it and then continue to refine and
Yes. And I did go to a training session, as did the police department, with BCRC, and BCRC, Dara Zink is the emergency planner, and she will work with us on continuing that work. So that's good. We also have the regional economic and workforce development update. We have, we have BCRC, the Chamber, BBC, and Department of Labor coming to give us an update as part of Career Month. And then the last thing I had was the chief has been wanting to come and do his quarterly update, which is more than a quarter over.
And actually, we also have the communications policy.
And we have the communications policy.
Second reading.
Heavens to Betsy.
We may want to push the chief back.
We may want to push him back.
That's going to be a lengthy meeting.
Yeah, let's do that. And I think having Jonah do a tutorial on the website is a great idea. And we do have an occasional standing item, which is sort of staff update on issues arising, and that might be a really wonderful thing to do. So we can push that out a couple meetings, but let's get that on there. Anything else that has to be on this next meeting?
I don't think this has to be on the next meeting, but there is a note here that I overlooked. The Energy Committee apparently is recommending some additional charging stations and maybe seeking some grant funds, which would require select board approval, so this will be coming to you potentially in the future. I don't know that it would be at the next meeting, though.
Yes. No, it wouldn't be, because what we do know is we have talked with Shannon, and she is doing the pre-application. There's a pre-application before you can do an application. The two areas that the Energy Committee was interested in looking at level 2 chargers for is one at the rec center, which has the infrastructure that was put in when Head Start did their building, and the other is at Rotary Park parking lot, River and Depot Street, because that's at the head of the rail trail, which has a different name now, and I've already forgotten it. Thank you, Limsack Valley, and as well as the skate park. So, so that looked like that was a good place.
When do you foresee seating us as in our liaison positions?
Good question. We usually do that at the same time we do boards and commissions, because in the case of the Energy Committee, the Select Board liaison is actually a voting member. So that is something I think if you, what we try and do is move everyone around every year so that we are all learning about different boards that we have liaisons with, as well as they are getting to know different select board members. So if you have thoughts about particular interests that you have, please let Ed and me know so that we can start looking at that. If you have any conflicts, if there's someone in your family that's on that board, or you do major business with that board, please don't suggest yourself. But Ed and I will make those appointments at the same time.
So those of us that are liaison now, we remain in those roles until probably June.
Yes, so June. So all the boards are supposed to switch over in June. So if we can do that, we will.
I have a comment or question on that. It never made sense to me when Don started it a few years ago. If the only reason we sit with the same board or committee all year is if they appear to be going perhaps in a different direction, then we need to tell them to come to the select board. I think they should know to do that. I plan on using my free time to try to go listen to 2 or 3 different boards each month. So throughout the year, I get to listen to everybody a couple of times. And I would question why I would have to commit sitting with the whole board all year long. Also, there are some very important groups that aren't even on this list.
So, very good points. So first, the role of the liaison is to facilitate communication between that board and the select board. So it's not to be, it's to make sure that if they have questions, as a select board member, we can help answer those questions or direct them to the right person. It's not to be an advocate for that board. It's not, except in the case of the Energy Committee, to be an active member of the board. It really is to be a communication liaison. The reason that we've chosen the boards we have is because they get substantial town funding. The Bennington Free Library is a freestanding nonprofit. It gets a little over $500,000 in taxpayer money each year. The Rescue Squad is a freestanding nonprofit. They get over $250,000 each year. The BBC, we approved their work plan and their budget, so it is nice to have a liaison there, even though, and again, they're quasi-independent. The other two, Energy Committee and...
CPARB.
What is it? And
CPARB.
CPARB are two committees that this select board decided we wanted to have liaisons on because they tend to be the way their work works is different than Planning Commission or DRB, and it's useful to have a select board member there to help make sure the communication is going well when we're talking about energy improvements or we're talking about community policing. So that is why we do that, and that's 5. That's 5. So, if
the other thing that I want to bring up is that, Nancy, your point about the fact that they should know to come to the select board. I noticed in my work over the last year that I was able to suggest an agenda item over a public comment. An organization perhaps needs more time because their material is more substantive. It's helpful for us to be sitting there.
But if this board is going to tell the public, we have all this information on the town website, and you need to take it upon yourselves, I would think they may have questions. I mean, I may not have a question, depending on the board I'm sitting with. I don't know why they wouldn't know to contact.
It really isn't about that. It really is about the fact that we have, the taxpayer has investment in these boards, and it's useful to have select board connection to that board. They may perfectly well know when to come, or they may not, but it's really to enhance communication between the select board and that organization. So,
Well, but I would think the Planning Commission is just as critical as the Select Board.
the Planning Commission has a staff member on it. Dan is in that role, and the Historical Preservation Committee has Shannon on that board. So there is either a staff or a select board member on all the boards.
And the Housing Authority?
The Housing Authority does not. Because it's not, it's controlled by HUD. We tried to add an additional member last year, and we learned federally we could not. So we have very little say over how the Housing Authority works. Yes, Jean?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was clear. The only liaison position where a select board member is able to vote is the Energy Committee. So you really are, I don't want to say powerless, but you're not really a participating, I don't know how to say this, you're not allowed to vote. And the reason that we sit on boards for an extended period of time is you really need to learn, and it's not just a one-off. You really need to learn about the organization and what they're planning on doing. It's a bigger time commitment than just popping in to see what they're going to talk about this week. You really need an extended period of time to really understand the workings of whatever board you happen to be sitting on. It's really important. Not that you can't go. If it's a public meeting, you can always go, but you wouldn't, only the liaison would be, represented at the table.
Yes, that's a good point. I go to some meetings because
it's open.
I'm interested in the topic.
Exactly.
Yeah, as a member of the public.
Right. There's nothing to prevent any of us from doing that. But your liaison position needs to be consistent, for many months to really be effective.
But this never happened until a few years ago, right?
Donald started this, so I think it's maybe
6 years?
years old now. Yeah. And actually, no, I think Tom, you may remember this. Lynn, I remember the director of the library telling me that she actually instituted a liaison position for the library many, many years ago. Yes?
The liaison to the library board has been in place for a long time.
Yeah, okay. So Donald expanded that concept. which is great. Okay. Move on to other business. Nancy, any other business?
Sure. I talked to you before Christmas, Stu, about Planning Commission meetings being covered by CAT TV. You said you had something in the works. It's critical that those meetings get covered.
All right. Ed? Okay, Tom? Clark?
Well, you jumped on something that, again, the public brought my attention, but I think you partially answered it in regard to the Bennington Housing Authority. And I was hoping that maybe, I was down the road, that somebody that's going to explain what terrible occurrence looked like. But I found most disconcerting and the town Bennington Housing Authority. In my opinion, it reflects on all of us. The physical state of that area, I found quite worrisome.
All right, so I think without sort of going down that road too far, what we could certainly ask Lindsay as director of the Housing Authority to come and talk to us about how they work with, how she works with HUD and that sort of thing. So yeah, we could do that. Jean?
I don't have the materials in front of me, Stu. I hope you remember Green Up Day is fast approaching. Can you remind us?
Generally the first Saturday in May.
And go to the town office or Subaru for?
We will most likely have information, potentially have bags. Subaru has been the primary sponsor over the last several years. I don't know whether they're taking it on this year or not.
Okay, so town office is the place to go for bags.
Do we know when that information will be available? Because we're already in April.
I'm afraid I don't know.
Okay. Is it run by the state? Who
It comes, well, the Green Up Day is an organization that is, in a sense, sponsored by the state, but it's a private entity that works out with a number of volunteers. So that information generally comes fairly quickly in April. But
And for those of us that are competitive, there's some sort of Guinness Book of World Record attempt related to Green Up Day. Did you see that in your packets?
In our packet?
Wasn't it in the packet?
I don't think so.
Just got it announced today.
Oh, why did I think it was in the, oh, it was in the newsletter, the employee newsletter, which was in our packet. Yes, okay.
Stu, do any business still come, participate? I mean, this used to be huge. Different businesses took different roads, and you'd go over Bennington, and you'd see all the trash picked up, and...
We still schedule people who wish to volunteer. We don't have as many businesses or other organizations doing it the way they used to. It's mostly individuals now that...
We lost Mr. Greenup, Tom Lyons, a few years ago at Bennington Subaru. He was a real cheerleader for that program when he passed away.
But it used to be a lot of the fraternal organizations would take sections of roadway, but we don't see that as much anymore.
It's a shame because it used to be huge.
Well, so there's an opportunity for next year. Yeah, there is absolutely an opportunity for next year. All right, if there's nothing else, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming this evening.